Anyway, okay, so we were moving to climate. Okay. So barely my graphics aren't working, so you might have to be the button pusher. So you have to read my mind.
Okay.
We've barely recovered from Hurricane Helene. I mean, barely recovered, haven't even started. Like we saw, FEMA hasn't been funded, and yes, Republicans are disgusting. They didn't fund it, and Mike Johnson won't call them back now to fund it. But like, I don't know, declare a fucking emergency and send your troops to North Carolina. Like,
yeah. So
what's the point of being the leader of the free world?
We literally had, now, look, we understand Congress funds spending, right? Congress funding, any funding bill is supposed to go through Congress. However, there's money already in the states, right? There's money already in the federal government. The federal government is giving COVID money to like a WWE event, right? So the idea that you need to pass this new bill through Congress, yes, that's the norms of how things work. But the Supreme Court just said, if you're president, you're not going to be liable for anything you do under presidential authority.
Yep.
So use that authority to do something untypical. Use that authority to do something never done before. You're not going to jail.
Can't do it.
You're going to save people and not go to jail.
Only Republicans have that power. So Josh grew up in Sarasota. My mother-in-law is still there. Thankfully, after my father-in-law passed away a few years ago, she sold their house, which was really hard. Obviously, just the house Josh grew up on. It was beautiful. It was on Siesta Key, and the beaches there are the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen in my life. I love going down there. I'm like not a calm, relaxed person normally in life. I feel so calm and relaxed. The sand is like powdered sugar. Thank goodness she sold that house, because it is, I'm sure, demolished at this point or about to be. She's further inland, but like what's happening right now, again, nobody in North Carolina has recovered. Their homes have just been completely devastated. And a week later, not only do we have a new hurricane that's going to decimate another area, if you're lucky enough to get out, where are you going to go? Because like most of the surrounding area is probably affected by that chemical explosion in Georgia. Like, what's going to happen? This is the just cascading effect of not dealing with climate, just funneling money to fracking and Chevron and Shell and all these disgusting companies that have known for over 50 years. Carl Sagan went before Congress in the 80s, early 80s, to say, we have to deal with this now. Nothing. Just fucking steal all the money, all the resources, destroy the environment. And this is where we are. So what's going to happen? Nobody's being saved. Good luck getting out. Where are you going to go? This was your big, like, this is the evacuation. Nothing's coming up, but the evacuation, I'm clicking on it. Climate, Florida evacuation is not happening.
And in that red area, avoid this area. So take the middle part of that, just cut it in half, but through the middle, cut it in 2/3. That middle part is going to be decimated. Yeah. They say that hurricane is going to start and hit the land as a hurricane level, whatever, and leave it as a hurricane level 5. So it's going to flatten everything. We're talking 150-mile-an-hour winds through the whole country. So like, it's not the coast. It's not just part of it. It's literally half of Florida is going to be demolished by this event.
I mean, it's so terrifying, and there is no plan. We're just going to show the beginning of this, but there's a meteorologist. I don't know what channel he was on, but his name is John Morales. This was 2 days ago, describing the impending effects of the hurricane.
I know they showed him on CNN, I believe, even. It might be from that. I'm not sure, though. But.
It's just an incredible, incredible, incredible hurricane. It has dropped... It has dropped 50 millibars in 10 hours. I apologize. This is just horrific. Maximum sustained winds are 160 miles per hour, and It is just gaining strength in the Gulf of Mexico, where you can imagine the winds. I mean, the seas are just so incredibly, incredibly hot, record hot, as you might imagine. You know what's driving that. I don't need to tell you. Global warming, climate change, leading to this and becoming an increasing threat for the Yucatan, including Merida and Progreso and other areas there. Let's see if I can show you the latest. There's the Cat 5.
I mean, he's crying because he knows what this means for people. We're going to frack. We got a no ban fracking Democrat.
He knows what it means for the people affected by it now, and he knows that it's climate change, and he knows that we're not doing anything about it. And so he knows his job is going to be reporting on these devastations every year, and it's going to amplify and get worse. Extreme weather events are tied to climate change completely. So,
and all right, this is the Tampa mayor issuing her warning.
This is literally catastrophic. And I can say without any dramatization whatsoever, if you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Wow. I mean, that is an incredibly blunt message. And I know you have a lot of experience dealing with these storms. You don't say something like that lightly, Mayor.
I've never said that. And 10 to 12 foot surge. I mean, if this takes a jog to the south, that's going to save us from the storm surge, but it stays on the track that it's projected to be on right now, or if it goes a bit north, would be even worse. Some of the predictions are saying that Pinellas County, to the south of us, the entire county is going to be underwater. So this is something that I have never seen in my life, and I can tell you that anyone who was born and raised in the Tampa Bay area has never seen anything like this before. People need to get out.
And your message is just, this isn't survivable.
This, if we have that predicted storm surge, it is not survivable.
Can I ask you what that means for the general hospital there in Tampa? Because it's on a bit of an island.
It's on a total island, number one. Number two, I mean, they've had 5 decades and 3 days to know this was coming. What are you telling millions of people? Like, where are they going to go? Gas stations have run out of gas. People don't have money. People in hospitals, how are they going to leave? Like, what are you talking about? Like, imagine if we had a government. What is even a government for? Like, honestly, I would love for these people, like, why do you want to be in a governmental position? For what? What is it? Is it all just like about stealing money from everybody? Government, the whole point is like, we're giving you money, our taxes, and we get something for them. And no, it just gets funneled off to the military industrial complex and, BlackRock in Ukraine.
yeah.
What are people supposed to do? You're going to die. That's your mayor. How are you going to get out? Are you going to be compensated because you've lost your job? What hotel are you going to stay at? I mean, I will tell you, I'm going at the end of next week to see my kids for Parents Weekend in Northfield, Minnesota. Probably nobody's ever heard of it. It's the size of a postage stamp. The closest hotel, which is like a, garden variety Marriott, I looked, they are charging $1,000. I made my reservations a year ago because I knew, it all sells out because there's nothing. $1,000 a night because they're going to price gouge because they know parents are coming in. That's like Four Seasons in Paris. I don't even know. I've never stayed at Four Seasons, but like that's so what do you think hotels are going to be doing now? Motels. Where are you going to stay? Where are you even going to drive to? The traffic, you're like in a parking lot on the freeway.
No, of course, this is, again, disaster capitalism. Everyone who can benefit from this is going to benefit from this. The people in government, in Florida. We'll have it rebuilt by whoever gives them a contract kickback, or,
Yep.
that's the purpose of these people in government, is just to get their friends' money. I mean, on a local level, you can run into some good people, but even then, there's so much corporate capture of our local government. They're beholden to small businesses. They have to kiss the police department's ass because the whole public thinks, oh, you don't endorse it. If you don't get the police department's endorsement, you're going to be soft on crime. So it's like,
I mean, just imagine, like, there is a world in which they set up, I mean, I don't know. They
Yeah,
set up empty homes or like domes, like what, I mean, like
right.
something.
But this is where, and what you were saying reminded me a little bit of, I mean, this is what I was going with what you
Right.
said before, is that government doesn't work, but that doesn't mean we don't need government, because we need government. We need these social structures. The purpose of government should be a safety net, equality, providing basic needs, should be everyone eats, everyone has shelter, everyone, basic stuff. And this is where we can't go towards libertarianism, which is like basically emergency shit only, like barely, because libertarians are not going to fund FEMA. They're not going to put millions of dollars into that. They're not going to have it's just not the answer. We need a government that works, not no government.
Right. And that's the thing that's so depressing, is because there were a couple of different people who have like gone in and helped the people in North Carolina, because whatever, government couldn't get there for whatever different reason. There's all the red tape and bureaucracy.
Right.
And I mean, some of them were threatened with arrest, like coming in on their boats or helicopters or whatever. But then some of them have actually, been able to like bypass all the red tape, and they've just got like the flats of water and food, and there's like, and so I was reading through some of these threads, and it's really impressive, right? And then I went to some of these people's normal accounts, and they don't believe in government. It's exactly what you said. It's all like libertarian bullshit, which is, we're just
we'll all come together through the church to help the community, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, no, you won't. You don't have the means to. It takes. How many helicopters do you have?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like they believe in it and they like it, but they don't trust the government to do it, which I get, because clearly the government isn't doing it. But that's also a project that used to be, I thought, a Republican project, right? Like, you starve the government so it's ineffective, and then you say, see, this is why we shouldn't pay taxes to the government. They suck. We'll just do philanthropy and all that kind of bullshit. But like, there is a world in which your government actually works for you. This doesn't have to happen. People are going to die. And, even the people who are lucky enough just to lose power, that kills people, losing power. People who are in hospitals, on dialysis machines, who need electricity. Like, most of us, it's hot, like whatever it is, there's, this was we've seen, and it's horrifying, but like, the rising level and what this will be. But this was showing what a hurricane can do to your house, even if the water doesn't rise. Remember, this is a level 5 Hurricane Milton.
Let me show you. Let's start off with a Category 1 storm. And the damage here, not too bad. A couple of shingles fall off, you can have some palm fronds bending in the wind, but everything basically remains intact. Category 2, that's where you really start to feel it. Look at the windows of the house. They can be hit from debris from the outside and already start breaking in a Category 2. Your trees are significantly bent over in the wind, and the siding of the house itself can break, flapping there in the wind, adding to those eerie noises inside. Category 3. I've heard only a Category 3, but it's not only anything except really bad news. In a Category 3, you can have the door of the house blown in because the winds get so strong. You can have the roof of the house start to flap up and down in the wind because it can lift off those weak points, and a lot of those trees start to fall. Category 4, the damage is even worse. You get most trees falling, most of your windows breaking, most of your shingles fly away, and then Cat 5 is as high as the category scale goes. By Cat 5, no shingles remain anywhere nearby. The holes in the roof get so big that the walls of the house start to fall because they're not attached to anything anymore. There won't be any trees up in the neighborhood. That's just catastrophic damage. But again, that's just from the wind, and there are other impacts from hurricanes, and they all vary through the season. So stick with the Weather Channel to keep you safe when the tropics head towards your neck of the woods.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, most people are going to head towards the second story to stay above floodwater, and to try to get on the roof afterwards if they're flooding. Depends on the neighborhood you're in, but that roof is going to go, and once that roof goes, the A-frame breaks, and then everybody in the house dies or drowns. And that's what happens in these situations. So these people thinking they can ride it out, we need a massive government response to what's already happened and what's going to happen. And we don't have it.
Nope, we don't have it. Like, they could not make it any clearer that they don't give a fuck about anything for any of us.
Congress won't even come together to appropriate funding to give another $750 to people,
And again, like, first of all, the people in Lahaina are still not, or Lanai, or, in Maui.
Well, they haven't been made whole at all.
Not at all. And that was over a year ago, right? And these, once in a lifetime, once in a century events are now happening every week. And there is no government structure happening right now to try to deal with any of it.
And compare this to Hurricane Katrina, which was devastating, obviously, but this is another level of devastation than that. And it was all put on Bush and, these people who handled it inappropriately, but this is a Democrat running the country right now.
And nobody's talking about like when what's his face was a Bush flew by in his plane, and Bush flew by in the plane. Trump threw the paper towel at Puerto Rico. All gross, but at least the media was calling them out. There was somebody who wrote a whole thread about how Katrina was the thing where he realized my government doesn't care about me at all, and people were on rooftops not being saved. That was 2004. That was 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
So, not to bring this back to the elections, but I'm doing that. Do you think this is going to play more in her favor in 4 weeks? 4 weeks from now, all the people that are suffered and seen the government not respond. I mean, you're not going to be able to blame Republicans for this, although they will. Florida, they didn't say yes to the money, but
right.
the
That's all I
party
see
in
from
charge
liberals right now. It's just like, who didn't fund it?
Yeah, but the party in charge gets blamed for disasters, poor disaster responses, and it's going to hit Kamala harder than it's going to hit Republicans.
Because do something, do anything. Don't tell me about the process. Like, it's so crazy. And then also, I mean, if she were running on some big policy like a Green New Deal, which, again, like, Biden came in, we lost defund the police or Black Lives Matter, we lost Me Too, we lost Medicare for all, we lost a minimum wage, we lost the Green New Deal, like, we lost all of it. Even Biden in 2019 was saying we shouldn't go to war with Iran. Like, what are you talking about? We lost all of it. All right, we should. Are we done with climate or?
Well, let's see. I mean, just speaking of climate, I mean, this is the problem.
Yep.
We keep subsidizing the things destroying the country and the world, and creating climate disasters. This is Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. He used to work for a fossil fuel billionaires corporation that are now pushing them to change the law.
No more regulation, you guys. We got to compete with China.
And as always, the people with the money see things first. Zillow is now adding climate-related risks to its home listings.
What does that even mean? I didn't see that. Is that like you get it for a? It's like you get it for a deal because it's in the path of
probably, but
excellent.
Who knows
if
great.
Snatch
It's a warning or a deal or whatever. But you know, that's now a new factor. What's the risk? What's my risk of losing this home in a couple of years?
And you can't, I mean, probably most of the people who do have home insurance in Florida think they're covered. They're not covered.
Nobody has flood unless you're on the coast. It's too expensive.
A glimpse of shell.
Yeah.
Profit.
The only people with flood, filthy fucking rich. But go ahead. Oh, the only people with flood insurance are rich.
Right.
Really rich.
Yeah. They'll build right back on whatever beachfront property, like Obama, and then get rid of the seawalls. That money. I mean, somebody a while ago came up with an idea that we should just be, naming every hurricane after, like the Chevron,
right?
The BP,
like they name sports stadiums.
Yeah.
Biggest climate. It should be on how much damage you're doing to the climate and go one by one.
100%.